In this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about all of the different types of yarn. The weight of it, the color of it, the fiber composition, because you can have anything from animal fibers, plant fibers, synthetic fibers, and each yarn type is going to be good for different kinds of projects. Let's start with animal fibers. First up, we have wool from a sheep, which is probably one of the more famous things to knit with. It's warm, it's durable, it's elastic, it's moisture wicking. Working with wool gives a really nice texture to the finished garments because I feel like when you work with wool, you see all of the little fibers that are sticking from it, and when the light catches it just right, it looks stunning. Then we have merino, and merino is again from a sheep, but it is super soft. And the nice thing is with merino is that when it's hot out and you want to cool down, it stays cool. And when it's cold outside and you want to warm up, it helps you stay warm. So it really helps to temperature regulate. If I'm going to work with a kind of wool, merino wool is always a winner for me. And like any kind of yarn, it comes in all different kinds of weights, whether it's something that is more finer weight like this, it can come in heavier weights. Like any yarn, yarns come in all different shapes and sizes. Then you start to get a little bit fancier with the animal fibers. For example, cashmere, that is the next level of soft. It is a very much more expensive yarn to work with. So if you're a beginner knitter and you want to do your first projects, maybe not go for cashmere right away. But I know lots of experienced knitters out there, and including myself occasionally will knit with cashmere if I really want to treat myself. And then we have mohair, which you might have seen some mohair on Game of Wool for Icons Week. And mohair is fluffy. I mean, as you can see, it's kind of catching the light and you can see these strands. It can feel a little bit coarse when you're wearing it, but it is something that feels quite luxurious. And I feel like when you wear it, it looks quite like, I don't know, it elevates garments in a way that makes them look really expensive, in my opinion. So when I knit with mohair, I always feel quite fancy, to be honest. Then you have Angora, which comes from a kind of rabbit that is super fluffy, it's breathable, and it is super lightweight as well. So when you wear it, it feels so incredibly soft on your skin. So it's quite the luxurious yarn. Then we have the synthetic yarns, which are human-made. So we have things that are made kind of from plastic, acrylic, nylon, polyester, those kinds of things. So for example, this is a polyester yarn that, again, it is a lot cheaper to be able to work with this, so it's very beginner friendly to be able to do it, but it doesn't biodegrade, unlike the animal fibers and the plant fibers. So then we have something that is 100% acrylic. Again, it's something that's really easy to wear, it's soft when you're wearing it, it's not scratchy, but it does sometimes have like a shine to it that animal and plant fibers don't tend to have. Then we have the blends. So this is an acrylic and nylon blend. The way that you're able to change the way that some of these human-made fibers feel is by kind of playing with their makeups. This, for example, is a 70-30 split between acrylic and nylon. It's trying to mimic the animal fibers with the fluffiness of it, but it is a human-made blend. So that's the fun thing with human-made stuff, is that you can kind of blend things and it tends to be slightly cheaper than the animal and plant fibers, but it is not biodegradable. Plant fibers tend to be pretty durable, but also biodegradable. So if you're wanting to make a bag, cotton, linen, those kinds of things are really good to be able to have something that is machine washable. It's something like, for example, baby clothes. If you're making something for a baby, if you make it in a cotton blend, then it's going to be able to be thrown in the wash because inevitably kids are going to be able to make a mess of all your hand knit garments. And if they're only hand washed, it makes it a little bit difficult. So plant fibers are a great alternative, especially when it comes to summer as well, because they're extremely breathable and lightweight. So it's a great alternative, especially when it gets hot in the summer, to start working with plant fibers rather than animal or synthetic fibers. An important thing when you're choosing your yarn for a project is to take a look at the label to make it sure it's good for your project that you're working on. So you get all of the information on the colors, the dye lot, the washing instructions, the needle size that it recommends for your project. So for example, here I have, it tells you exactly what the color is, which is the brand name color. And then you go down to seeing the yardage or the meterage, if you like, to be able to see how long the yarn is and the weight that it has. So usually in a knitting pattern, it'll tell you how many yards, how many meters, or the weight of the yarn that you're going to need for the project to be able to have enough so that you don't run out, because playing yarn chicken is never fun when you're in the middle of a project. Then it tells you the makeup of the yarn. For example, this one is 60% cotton and 40% acrylic. Now, if you went on to a different yarn, you might be able to see this, for example, is 100% wool. So it is something that allows you to be able to understand the fiber composition of your yarn. Then it comes down to the yarn weight. So this is a medium, size 4, but that is a very generic term for the yarn weights. And now you can go into all the details, ranging from lace to sport to DK to Aran to chunky to super chunky, and then there's different names for it in British terminology and American terminology, but this graph can kind of show you everything that you need to know with the different yarn weights. And that way you can match the needle size to the yarn weight to make sure that you're making the right size fitting thing for your garment or your blanket or whatever it is that you're working on. Now, the interesting thing is if you are choosing your yarn and your needle size, the yarn and the needle size isn't always going to match for every single pattern, because some patterns call for a looser knit and a looser gauge. So sometimes you might go up a needle size, or if you want something that is firm and slightly stiffer, then you go down a needle size to be able to make the fabric slightly more dense. Now, each yarn, it'll show you the recommended tension gauge. So right here, for example, this yarn recommends a size 8 or a 5mm knitting needle, and within that it's going to tell you that in 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters you are going to have 17 stitches by 24 rows. Now that is something that allows you to figure out what your tension is going to be to then, if you're designing something, know how many stitches you need to cast on for your project. But also here it tells you the crochet instructions of needing a 5mm hook, and then that gauge is 13.5 single crochets and 15 rows. So that way you know exactly what you're working with. So the washing instructions here show you exactly what is good for it and what isn't good for it. So for example, this one says machine wash at 30 degrees and tumble dry on low. So this one is a pretty durable yarn, whereas sometimes if you're working with like an animal fiber, for example over here, the washing instructions are quite small, but this yarn is hand wash only and you cannot tumble dry it because it's an animal fiber. And with animal fibers, most of you by now at some point, whether you've shop bought or if you're making something yourself, if you put something in the washing machine by accident and it shrinks to half the size, that's probably because it was meant to be hand washed. So usually with animal fibers, they tend to be hand washed, unless you have this beautiful superwash merino yarn, which is actually able to be washed in a machine, but I would never really risk tumble drying any of the things that you've handmade, mainly because you don't want it to have any kind of like snags in it. So if you're going to machine wash it, make sure you dry it flat. That's another recommendation I'd have, because if you try to dry something when you're hanging it up, it can drape in a weird way and then it dries that way, so you're kind of re-blocking it in a way. So being able to wash it and then lay it flat to dry is important. And then the final thing that you'll get on your yarn label is the information around the colors. So you'll have the color name, which is usually brand names have their own color. For example, some are sun yellow, but some try and get incredibly creative with one of my favorites is Knit One Purple One, which is a great yarn pun. Anyway, going on to the color, it'll tell you the exact color for the brand name, but what's important is the dye lot number. So the dye lot number, it tells you which batch it was actually dyed in so that you can match the colors appropriately, because sometimes there is a little discrepancy when you're dyeing something that some of the batches will come out in a certain color and some might be slightly lighter or slightly darker. So being able to match your dye lot when you're making a project is actually quite important. Sometimes there's only like little bits of discrepancies, but sometimes if you're making a whole jumper in one color, it's really important to make sure that it's from the same dye lot. I know that was a lot of information around yarn, but ultimately when you're choosing your yarn, just make sure it's appropriate for the project that you have in mind. So if you're making something for a baby, it's going to be washed a lot. If you're making something that needs to carry something heavy, use something that's a little bit more durable, and you can experiment with that. You can do different tension swatches, you can work with different colors, and always do the chin test. The chin test is something that I like to do to see if the yarn is going to be scratchy if I'm making a jumper. But if we're not making a jumper and it's going to be a bag, you don't have to worry about things like that. So just have a play with it. I mean, it's yarn at the end of the day, and it's all good fun, right? Thank you for watching this video. Now don't forget to subscribe to Let's Get Knitting for more tutorials of knit and crochet, and of course, some extras from Game of War.